alone in the house? Are you sure? I only ask because someone might be hiding in your home, watching you as you watch this. Now, it's not an urban legend. It does actually happen sometimes, and it's got a name: phrogging, a term inspired by frogs leaping from place to place, where basically people hide in other people's houses. Like in 2008, when a man from Fukuoka, Japan, noticed food disappearing from his fridge. Suspecting a burglar, he locked all the doors and windows, but still the food would vanish. So he set up security cameras linked to an app on his phone so he could check the footage while he was at work. To his horror, he saw a strange Japanese woman with long black hair, just like the movies, crawling over the furniture of his securely locked house. This is a true story. Shocked, he called the police, who searched every possible hiding place, and they were close to giving up when someone just happened to open the door of a built-in closet. There was a narrow top section that was designed for storing mattresses, but when they looked inside, they found her, curled up on her side, a 58-year-old homeless woman called Tatsuki Horikawa, and she'd been living in the closet's top shelf for almost a year. She looked neat and clean because she'd been creeping into his house to use his shower and toilet while he was at work. There's a chicken behind me there. I'll be back with another creepy tale of phrogging and home invaders. But until then, why not follow me on TikTok? Check out my scary true story show, Frightful, or maybe even try some of my books. Just look at the link in my bio. You'll find all the stuff there.
Watching them, he had holes in their bedrooms where he could watch the girls changing. So I had never heard of this term before, but it's also now my biggest fear as well. I went and looked it up, and in so doing, I found a story about Danny LaPlante. So a man unfortunately loses his wife to cancer, and he has 2 daughters. He's now a single dad. He's trying to make ends meet. He's got to go to work. So when the girls get home from school, they're home alone. Most days that they're home alone, they start to hear these really strange sounds around the house. They think it's a ghost. And girls are really struggling with this. They're freaking out. They're running to the neighbor's house. They're calling the cops. They're telling their dad. When the police would come and look at the house, they would find nothing. So everybody thinks these girls are just doing this for attention because they're sad about their mother. So one day, it's particularly bad. The station on the TV keeps changing. The milk was left out. One of the girls goes into the kitchen to get a glass of milk. She puts the milk away. She goes back into the kitchen to put her glass in the sink. The milk's out again, and she knows she had put it away. So stuff like this just keeps happening. So on this particular day, it escalates. It gets really, really bad. The girls go freaking running out of the house. They run to the neighbor's house, and the neighbor calls the father, and the father's like, I just don't know what to do with these girls. Like, they're going to be in so much trouble. Like, I can't leave work early again. Can they stay with you? I'll be home in about an hour. So they sit with the neighbor until about the time their dad is supposed to get home. And just before he does, they hear something upstairs, and it's really loud banging sounds. Like, it's clearly someone is up there. So the dad walks in the door. The girls are frantic. They're crying. They're like, Dad, something's happening up in our room. You have to go up there. You have to look. We're not making this up. The dad goes up the stairs, and when he gets up there, what he finds is absolutely horrifying. It is a man wearing his dead wife's wedding dress, holding a hatchet. So the dad obviously flips out and calls the police. The police come, they search the entire house, and they find nothing. And how is this possible? Like, the dad himself saw the person in the house. So like, where could he be? You guys, he was living in their walls. For weeks, this kid was living in this family's walls. This is from the police's notes. I'm going to just give you a second to check this out. And this is what he looked like. His name was Danny LaPlante. He was found. They found him in the walls. He had been there for weeks, stealing their food, even stealing personal undergarments from the girls. Really, really creepy. And he had been in their walls. So he got arrested. He went on trial, and they let him out on bond while he was awaiting trial. And while he was on bond, an entire family, a different family, but it was a woman home alone with her 2 children. And the details of that are so awful. It's unspeakable. So he's in prison. He is still alive. This is a true story. Danny LaPlante with an E. LaPlante, Danny LaPlante. You can Google it. There's also an episode about this on My Favorite Murder.
This is a good reminder to double check every single nook and cranny in your house. Because in 2019, this couple came home after a week-long vacation to see that there was a stranger living in their home. And he had most likely been living there while they were also in the house. Also, if you like these kinds of stories, you'll like tonight's episode. Upon arriving home after a week away, Josh Campbell tried the front door of his house, but there was a stranger on the inside pulling it closed. That stranger was 26-year-old Ezekiel Zayas, and yes, this is a video he left on their personal computers. The two were able to call the police and eventually get him out of the house, but that's when they saw all of the terrifying stuff he had been up to in the home. He also left them videos on their computers that included incredibly personal information that they had only shared with each other, meaning that he had been listening to their conversations. But the worst part was the knives. Ezekiel had left notes in the house about surgeries that he wanted to perform on the family, like a hand transplant. And when the couple went into their bedroom, they saw that there were knives and other utensils all around the bed. It seemed like he was preparing to do some sort of operation on them. Phrogging stories are absolutely terrifying, and I don't want to give too much away, but you might be spooked by tonight's episode.
Okay, phrogging might be one of the creepiest things I've ever heard of. It's the phenomenon where someone secretly lives in another person's house, perhaps in unused closets, in the walls, crawl spaces, in the attic. Frogs watch the residents and learn how to move about the house undetected. Usually they don't steal anything other than food, water, and basic necessities. Instances of phrogging are uncommon. However, several cases brought the idea from urban myth to reality. In 2008, a man in Japan installed security cameras in his house after he noticed food had gone missing on several occasions. He caught a woman roaming around his house while he wasn't home. She had been secretly living in his home for a year. In 2012, singer George Michael caught a woman living under his floorboards. She'd been there for 4 days. In 2020, a man in Oklahoma started hearing strange noises in his home. Upon investigating, he found a man had been living in his attic. The man used an outdoor staircase to enter and exit the residence. The homeowner had no idea how long the man lived in the attic. I don't know about you, but after learning about this, I will be checking every inch of my house before I go to sleep.
I'm about to show you one of the most terrifying photographs you've ever seen. So if you're easily frightened, do not watch this. A friend of mine lives in Chicago, and she and her husband thought that they had a family of raccoons living in their attic because they kept hearing all of these sounds upstairs above their bedroom. So they continued calling their landlord, kept reporting it, kept saying, hey, we've got an infestation of rodents or raccoons or something in our attic, and you guys need to come and get it taken care of. The landlord kept putting them off and kept saying, we're really busy. We can't get there. So the sounds would come and go. Sometimes it would be quiet up there. Sometimes it would be really loud. One day my friend is home alone. Her husband's out of town, and the sounds are particularly bad, worse than they've ever been before. And she's sitting there and she's like, what is going on? Like, what could there must be a million raccoons up in my attic. And so she decides to pull the access stairs down from the ceiling, and she's too frightened to go all the way up into the attic because the light that's up there is a cord light and it's a little ways. So she doesn't want to go into the attic, thinking it might be unsafe. So she just crawls up 4 or 5 stairs and just sticks her arm up into the attic and just snaps a photograph. She pulls her phone down to see what's actually living there. Warning. This is what is on her phone screen, staring back at her. He was 7 feet away from her when she took this picture. And mind you, she was home alone. So, yeah. She called the police. She reported it. The police came. They found him. They also found a bunch of, you can't really see it, but right here, there's like a pile of her husband's clothes. He had been going into their house while they were out and taking things, personal effects, articles of clothing, toiletry items. So he had been there for a while. I'd pass away.
Yes, there was a random man in my closet, and yes, I live alone. But for months, I've been thinking I was losing my mind. I come home and little stuff would be off. My jewelry would be on the dresser, not in the dish that I left it in. Or I find the bathroom window cracked open knowing I closed it. But I kept brushing it off like, girl, you're just being paranoid. But then the past few days, it got worse. I started hearing noises like faint thuds when I was in bed. Or I'd be watching TV and I hear footsteps. But then I'm like, it's an old building, pipes creak, chill out. No, I come home the other night and the vibe is just off. Everything feels weird. The air felt so heavy, like when you would just walk into a room and you can feel someone else's energy. I go into my room and I keep hearing faint rustling. I look around and notice my closet door is slightly open and I can see fabric moving. I'm standing there, dare I say, expecting a ghost, maybe even a rodent. I open the door and there's a whole man standing there in my closet, in my clothes, my socks, my shirt, my leggings, and we're just standing there staring at each other. You know what this man says to me? I didn't want to scare you. I back up, keep my cool for survival, because at this point, I don't know anymore. I walk outside, call the police. When they came, that man was still standing in my closet. Turns out he'd been living in my apartment for days, maybe even weeks, sleeping in my bed when I wasn't home, eating my food, showering, wearing my clothes, and I had no idea. And the worst part, I still don't know how long he was actually there. Like, he could have been watching me sleep, and I can't even think about it right now for too long because I'll start spiraling, but you get it. But you know what really messes with me? When the cops searched the place, they found a makeshift bed in the crawl space, food wrappers, water bottles, and a notebook filled with notes about me. What time I leave, when I shower, when I come home, when I go to bed, when I sleep. He'd been tracking me for weeks. Now I still check my closet every single night because I cannot shake the feeling that someone is still watching, said Maddie. In 2021, Maddie was a victim of phrogging. Phrogging is a real-life terrifying phenomenon where someone secretly lives in someone else's home. If stories like this interest you, be sure to give me a follow because I enjoy having these type of discussions too.